Hello and welcome to highlights of the 7th round of the World Superbike Championship from Silverstone in Great Britain. Silverstone marks the halfway point in the series, and it's so far so good for British rider James Toseland, who's increased his lead in the title chase since he was last at home in April at the Donington round. Going into the Silverstone weekend, he held a 35-point lead over Japan's Noriyuki Haga, who took a double win at Monza last time out. Still very much in the hunt at the halfway point, and Max Biaggi in third, the current world champion Troy Bayliss in fourth, with fellow Aussie and double champ Troy Corser still in touch in fifth. James Toseland was out to get that elusive double on home soil and to try to break away from the chasing pack. But with poor weather predicted, the others were hoping to gain some ground on the informed Brit. Silverstone itself is another iconic motor racing venue. Grand Prix Formula One car racing began here back in 1950. Before that, Silverstone was a World War II airfield, and perhaps appropriately, the Silverstone weekend began at an airfield nearby. Stars of superbikes were given a flying treat from one of the world's finest aerobatic display teams. Just down the road from Silverstone at Sywell Aerodrome is the Blades aerial display team, a crack outfit of some of the world's finest pilots. Ex-fighter pilots, these top guns moved on from the RAF to the famous Red Arrows display team before forming their own independent airline of stunt aircraft, with which they perform at air displays all around the world. And as part of the thrill, they can take passengers with them for the ride of their lives. Well, the men of World Superbikes don't scare easily. Didn't need a second invitation for an adrenaline ride like no other. So in perfect weather conditions, Troy Bayliss, Troy Corser and James Toseland were given a white-knuckle ride around the skies. Hitting speeds of over 200 miles an hour, they looped the loop, barrel rolled high over the M1 motorway and through formations above
Go on the top of this one, turn about left. All right, ready, rolling left, and going to go wild now.
Their own display in quite spectacular fashion. And back to flying around the Silverstone circuit on two wheels. The story was much the same. The Red Baron of bikes, Troy Bayliss, was out for pole position, after being the quickest after first qualifying. The king of Superpole, Troy Corser, fastest in the second qualifying session. But both Troys would need to be super quick, as Noriyuki Haga would set the pace, picking up where he left off at Monza.
Doesn't use wide entry there, but still manages to hold a tight line and pulls the bike back across the track, and that's what really separates a chassis that's working well from a chassis that's hard work. So Priory gets a nice wide entry into it and gets to drive it hard on the way to Brooklands. Then once again, Brooklands gets a hairpin, holds it tight, gets the power on, can get into the love field. You can see how much better these bikes work.
Holding it, trying to make sure that he keeps the same pace. He knows he's up at the moment. He's just got to hold it all together and keep it tidy. One more corner to go. Haga on his way for a provisional pole, chasing 125.5. He crosses the line at 124.3. That is so impressive. What a lap.
Next up, Bayliss was fired up for the one-lap dash, and he made it count.
So then Troy Bayliss trying to take pole away from the top man. Haga at the moment leads the way with a 124.5. Lansley's right up there, and so Zaus and Kageyama.
I don't think this will be good enough to beat Haga's out, because this is where Haga is so strong, but you could never count out Bayliss.
No.
We saw him do it in the Superpole warm-up, a phenomenal lap. So he's less than 1/10 of a second away from Haga's lap. This is going to be close.
Clouds are closing in, but no sign of real rain coming. I think we'll get a dry Superpole altogether. 21, number one actually in the world right now. He is the world champion, but the omen of having that last time he was world champion, he decided to stay with 21. Now can he make it to pole position?
Good into the chicane, picks it up to drive it out, and the bike stays pretty stable on the exit, so that's set up well.
It's looking quick, 24.5, 24.5.
Oh, just!
Oh, by 0.019. Bayliss takes the fastest time away from Haga.
Toseland came close, but would in the end have to settle for a front row start. Last out was Troy Corser, who looked odds on for his 40th pole position.
It's not far off. Ooh, 4.
Second, so he's lost a lot of time in that middle sector, so I don't think it's going to be possible to make it up here. So the 40th one is probably going to elude him again.
But he should try to challenge Lanzi for a front row start. That's what it's all about now. He's going to keep his head down and go for it. Front row start's good enough, and in the wet, that's what you'd want. You wouldn't want to be on the second row.
No, very much so.
So then, Troy Corser won't be taking his 40th Superpole, but he will be on the front row.
We don't know yet.
Well, he might
but
be.
It doesn't look good
124.5, he's chasing, and it crosses the line in 125.1.
Well, actually, it's been a little bit up and down for me all weekend. We've been around in circles a little bit, and now we're back inside the circle. I'm starting to feel more confident on the bike again. I've been struggling really on the first split, which is not such a difficult section, but I haven't just been able to get it right. So we finally got it right this afternoon, and everything's working okay, but like everybody says, it's possibly going to be rain tomorrow, and that throws a spanner in the works for everybody. It's not going to be nice, that's for sure.
With the Ducati's tubular chassis rather than the beam chassis, is it a little bit easier over the bumps around here for you?
Well, I haven't ridden anyone else's bike, so I don't know. But ours is working okay. But like I say, on the race tyre, we can only use one tyre, the hardest one, and honestly, the grip's down on that. And if anybody can get away with using the softer one, it's going to make it difficult for us. But I honestly think after 15 laps, anyone who chooses that tyre is going to be going backwards pretty quick.